Welcome to the Monday Monologue. And yes, we're back. Had my surgery. It was a success. I was a little more painful, or it was a little more painful recovering than I expected. And it took a little longer than I expected to kind of get back on my feet. But everything seems fine now. Got the thumbs up. Don't have cancer. And that was the big scare. And they were able to do the repair stuff they needed to do, and they gave me a thumbs up, said everything should be good to go, and I feel like it is. So I feel like I'm back in full swing now, and I did really want to absolutely rest just on the couch for at least that first week after surgery to give it the best chance of healing. So we did that, and yeah, we're back. And you've probably seen the video from last week where I was working on that noob sound, and then, of course, I thought it was going to be nice, easy kind of content to hey, let's just take this circuit that everybody says works and sounds good and everything, and put it in this little amp. And of course, for me, it does crazy 30K oscillating nonsense that I can't figure out what's going on. And again, I've said this before, I'm not an engineer. I didn't go to engineering school and get a formal training. This is my hobby. I feel like that I, in some ways, kind of understand what good sound is from a tube and how to get there in a way that maybe somebody that's more formally trained isn't. But then when I run into some really crazy stuff, sometimes I need help. So a friend of mine, Mark, is willing to take a look at the little amp. I'm going to ship it off to him and see if a second set of eyes can help figure out. We talked on the phone for several hours trying to make sense of what it's doing, and we both agreed it doesn't make sense. But I could have made a mistake, and it could be something simple, which I hope it is. And it could just be some weird problem with some old tubes, because those are probably 50-year-old tubes or 60-year-old tubes that I'm using in that amp, maybe 70-year-old tubes. So, that could be maybe the problem. I don't know. So, anyway, today I'm going to touch on a subject that's hopefully not touching a third rail and derailing this channel, because it is not my intention to turn this into a political, nonsense battleground kind of a thing. And I'm going to say right now, if I see any comments pro or con for the elected officials that are currently in the U.S. or anything, like I said, pro or con, they're going to get deleted. We're not going to talk about politics in the channel, but I do feel that we can't ignore what these tariffs are going to do, good or bad, for the audio industry. And it's really given me pause on what products that I want to try to develop, because while I've got some parts in stock for building some stuff, and I've got enough transformers to build several of my EL34 amps. I stocked up on those before ISO did their big 25% increase last fall. Now there's going to be another easily 10% increase. And I'm not sure if those are going to stay or if they're going to be 25%, because they were 0, then they were 25 or 30% on Japan, and then they went back to 10, but that's on a 90-day wait, and they may go back up to 35, they may go up to 75, they might go up to 150. I don't know what's going to happen. And the first round of tariffs were on Canada, which is where Hammond transformers are made, which are the power transformers I've used. And I've tried using EdCore power transformers that are made in the U.S. before, and I didn't find them to be reliable. They would hum, they would make noise, they'd rattle, or they'd get this metallic-y buzz in them, and then I've had 2 of them fail. And I've only bought two, and both of them failed within a couple of years. And I didn't feel comfortable using their power transformers on a commercial product that I'm selling to people. So I've been using Hammond transformers and chokes. And the first round of tariffs was a 25% hike on those, and then it went back down to 10. Depending on the election in Canada, if the liberal guy gets elected instead of the conservative, I don't know if that's going to have an impact on which way the tariffs go. Like if one person gets elected, are they going to be 50%? And I guess what I'm trying to say is this instability in the market as far as global trading is going to really impact what I am or am not able to do, because I think my products are probably already priced about as high as I think people are willing to pay for them. I mean, not that I'm trying to gouge anybody, but I'm just saying, here's what the parts cost. I've sat down and figured out what the labor costs, and honestly, I'm only making probably $25 an hour building these things, which I'm fine with because I enjoy doing it. But if there's another 10% on the parts, then I'm making $15 an hour. And I can't do it for that, or I'm just not going to. And for example, like my 300B amp, that's why I've got this stuff set out here. These FC30 transformers are, God, I think they're $400 a piece, $450 a piece. So it's like $900, almost $1,000 for this pair of transformers. And they may even be more now. And then this power transformer had custom wound. It was like $350, and I think this guy was almost $200. This choke, and if they're all going up 10%, that's just not going to be sustainable. And like the EML tubes that these are designed around are made in Eastern Europe. They're going to have a tariff on them. And I know that this idea that it's going to force U.S. manufacturing so that you'll be forced to buy stuff in the U.S. And honestly, I mean, it might do that as far as the power transformers. I may have to reach out to Musical Power Supplies or Habu or somebody and try to get the transformers made in the U.S. instead of buying them from Hammond. But I don't think anybody's going to step up and make the equivalent of these ISO Tango output transformers. I mean, they've been making them in Japan for a long time, and they kind of got that market sewn up. And the same thing with those EML tubes. EML's not going to build a manufacturing plant in the U.S. And yes, there's the Western Electric tubes, but you see how expensive those are. They're $1,500 for a pair of tubes. And I'm honestly not convinced they're that great a quality compared to those EML tubes. When I listened to them, it didn't blow me away like those EML tubes do. And so the other thing that it's going to have an impact on is, again, the vacuum tubes. Right now, the majority of the tubes, or at least the new tubes, are coming out of China. PS Vane did those Horizon tubes that were really nice quality, and they're still working on their 5AR4 tube. They sent me a pair of 101D tubes that I need to do a review on, but my initial impression on those was just like the other Horizon tubes. They've got that really good dynamic house sound, and if they can get a 5AR4 tube that is as robust as the new old stock ones are, that's something that the audio industry needs. But if they're a 2 times multiplier or 145% tariff on them, then they're not going to be affordable. And nobody's going to build a tube manufacturing plant like that in the U.S. That's just not going to happen. So we're going to have to deal with the reality of this situation where that some things are going to go up substantially in price, and we're going to have to figure out where to get parts and where to buy tubes and how that's all going to impact the audio scene. The other thing, of course, too, is the bottom end of the market has all these little chip amps like the AEMA and the Fozzies and stuff that everybody seems to enjoy using. Well, those are going to be, instead of $100, they're going to be $250, or instead of $250, they're going to be $500, and it's not going to be cheap audio anymore. And so we just need to get ready for that. And the other thing, like I said, is just this instability and not knowing, like right now, I've put my 300B project on hold, or my prototype on hold, because I don't know what is going to happen in 90 days. Because if they go from, 10% to 40% tariff on this stuff, and I know there's this $800 limit. Well, 2 of these is going to be over the $800 limit. And the only way that it makes sense to import these things to use is to buy a box full of them. Like the last round of those little 12S transformers I bought 10 of them. And whatever that cost was. And just because the shipping isn't that much more for 10 of these as it is for 2. And the shipping's stupid expensive, shipping stuff from Japan. Because the only option is they got the fast way or the 6-month boat in a container kind of a shipping, which I'm not bringing that much in, so that doesn't work. So you have to just pay for this FedEx or DHL, and it's $200 to ship a set of iron for an amplifier. And that has to be worked into the cost of the thing. And I don't know if they're going to put some kind of tax on the shipping. I guess it's just the uncertainty right now has made me pause on moving forward on doing this prototype, or, I've got the iron here. I may end up building one of them, but to me, to focus on that when I'm going to have one and then sell it and then that's it, that's kind of a struggle too, to put that much energy into something. So I do have some other projects that I want to work on, and that's enough about that. And again, this is not political. I'm just stating what I hope is the obvious. You put political comments in the thing, and I don't know, some people might unsub from the channel for me just even bringing this up. I can't help that, because to me this is like the elephant in the room with this, uncertainty in the economic market. You can see how it's going to impact somebody that's a small business owner. Plus, I will say this year too, and I don't know whether it's related to the stock market instability and me having an older clientele that probably has their income dependent on their investments. I've had one amp order this year, where last year I was selling a bunch of them. And I know some of you were kind of saying, oh, it's because you showed people how to build an ST70, now nobody's going to buy your amp. I don't think that's got anything to do with it. I think it's just people are kind of freaking out right now. So anyway, that's enough of that. I do have some other fun stuff I want to do. I want to build some amps with these Acro Sound vintage output transformers. And I think hopefully that's going to be a fairly simple thing. Let's hope I'm not 3 for 3 this year. I think we can build one of those that's going to work good. And probably going to start with a little 6v6 one, push-pull, see what that sounds like. It's got a Hafler design circuit, which, again, people say sounds really nice. I am going to stay away from those Williamson amps. I've heard a lot of people talking about how, the Heathkit versions of those using these transformers were super unstable, and they're blowing out tweeters and speakers and stuff, and I just don't even want to go down that path, especially after dealing with this little single-ended amp that was unstable. I don't want to mess with some, amp that you just breathe on it and it starts oscillating. So we're going to skip that design and go with this one Hafler kind of design with these transformers. So that's probably going to be a project pretty soon. I want to do a color preamp with 6S and 7 tubes, and I've got the stuff here to do that, so we're probably going to do that pretty soon. And I know it may look like I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I do have to kind of look at kind of what the market's doing and what people are going to be interested in. And so, yeah. I know this was a little different video than I normally do for Monday, and I hope I didn't upset anybody. And again, I'm really not trying to get political here. I just feel like that this is something that has impacted me and Skunkie Designs, and wanted to share with you kind of where I'm at, and hopefully things are going to settle down and things will get better. You know, right now I'm just not real sure what's going on. So anyway, and for you folks that don't live in the U.S., you're not having to deal with this, but I guess in a certain way too. I know it's affecting the world economy and the global trade, and just everything's kind of gotten scrambled right now. And so let's just try to enjoy some tube stuff, and let's kind of get back to focusing on electronic stuff and some of my projects. So I'm going to walk upstairs and get the album of the week. So about a week ago was International Record Store Day. So I went to my local used record store, and he turned me on to Art Pepper. I don't know if you've ever heard his music. I'd never heard it before. Just fantastic quality. And this was from Acoustic Sounds. I can't find the album that I bought at the used record store. It was one of his earlier ones, but this came from Acoustic Sounds, and it's a modern release by Intro Records. Super, super great pressing. So, highly recommend listening to this. Also got this one from Craft Recordings, and this is Contemporary Records. And another Art Pepper meets the rhythm section. This is another really fun album. So, if you've never heard Art Pepper, go stream it, or, buy these albums. They sound super nice. Here's one that was recorded years ago, and it was the One Night with Blue Note series. And I think this was a live concert that they recorded. There's 4 records in the set, and these were done like in the mid-'80s, I believe. And I got these off eBay. There's a lot of good quality of these. It seems like jazz recordings, used ones, seem to be in better shape. People seem to take care of them. And I got these for about $10 a piece. And so, not a high dollar item to get, but they look like this, and there's 4 volumes. And I've listened to the first 3, and they're really good. I got the 4th one on the way. I got 3 of these in a package deal, and then had to get the volume 4 by itself. So the last one, this woman has a fantastic voice, and her music was very unique. But sadly, she had a drug and alcohol problem that she ended up dying from, and the album that I'm talking about, I have yet to hear a very good recording of it. The CD's terrible, the streaming sounds really bad, the US vinyl sounds horrible. I mean, it's almost unlistenable to it, so bad. And so people said that the Abbey Road remastering is about as good as you're going to get. And I think it was either a victim of the loudness wars or a victim of everybody in the studio was high when they were recording it, and people just turned the sliders all the way up to distortion. And so the album is Amy Winehouse, Back to Black. And honestly, the main album is so bad that it's hard to recommend it. And even this Abbey Road's version is, I'm sure they did the best they could with what they had to work with, but it just is still not fantastic. But it's a gatefold, and it's got a really nice inside, and it's got the little sleeves have a nice thing, and it's got all the words, the songs and stuff, which is really nice. It's one of the things I like about vinyl. But the second album, it's like a bonus album that you get with this Abbey Road version. It's got this song like To Know Him Is to Love Him. Oh my God, she's voiced, God, just angelic. And the second album doesn't have the compression and the distortion issues that the first album does. So this bonus album, I don't know where they got these tracks or when they were recorded. Maybe they were recorded at a different time, or they just decided not to use them, and so they didn't get compressed like these other ones did and ruined. This is worth buying, the Abbey Road version, to get the bonus album. So that's why it made Skunkie's list. So that's the music for this week. And again, I hope I didn't upset anybody with earlier comments. I'm not trying to get political with this stuff, but it is a reality, and I think it's something we need to talk about. And I'm not saying, oh, you should have voted for this or that, or, impeach, or, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying this is the reality of what's going on. And, in a couple of years from now, we might all be going, oh man, that was the best thing that ever happened to our country. So, I don't know. I'm not, I don't have a crystal ball. But for right now, it's negatively impacting what I feel like I can do. And I'm going to probably focus more on my YouTube channel than my business for a little bit, which is good for you guys. So anyway, if you're enjoying my content, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Thanks to all you Patreon supporters and the other folks that help support what Skunkie Designs is doing, especially now that my business is kind of tanking a little bit. I appreciate your help. And yeah, just for being viewers. I appreciate y'all tuning in every week. And hopefully my health is in a good spot where I'm not going to have these little dry spots where I'm trying to recover from surgery. And I feel really good, so I think that's all behind me. And we'll see you next week for the Monday Monologue.